In the UK, I noticed this literally this morning. When you search, so previously it would show an AI overview at the top of Google for most of your searches. I've talked about this on previous lives, how this is leading us down the path of a zero-click internet where we don't actually have to go to the websites. We can just extract the information from the top of the search. So we still go to Google, but we're not clicking on the website, which for the people who build websites is a disaster because they generally get their revenue from adverts they run on their websites or sales that they make through their website. Google is basically allowing us to bypass that. So what they've now done is they've added an AI mode directly into Google. So previously, AI overviews just hijacked your searches. If you search for how to make a vegan lasagna, it would give you the websites, but on top of that, it would give you a recipe for a vegan lasagna. So whether you liked it or not, it would basically be there. I think you could turn it off. There was some way, but they hid it down deep in various settings menus. So now what they've added is at the top bar, you generally have all images, shopping, maps, etc. The various different modes of Google. They've now added AI mode and it sits right at the front. So that basically gives us access to Gemini. Gemini is their model, but it's sitting right at the front end of Google search. So this is again Google leaning in to artificial intelligence. I've talked about this multiple times. I was at Google last week and I managed to keep my mouth closed because they were hosting the event and I didn't want to be too rude, but generative AI is an existential threat to Google because it changes the paradigm of how we access information. For the last couple of decades, we have used search to find information. So somebody had to spider and crawl and index all of that information so that we could search for what we're looking for and find the information we needed. That has been Google for the last 10 years, more than that, 20 years. Search makes up about 75% of their revenue. I believe it was about $200 billion last year. It's a big chunk of change and it's at a 75% margin as well. So this is their cash cow. Generative AI is a huge risk to that cash cow, so much so that Mr. Suleiman, who was their VP of AI before he left, he said in an interview recently that Lambda, which was their ChatGPT before ChatGPT, was actually killed. They did not allow it to be released, knowing that it would be such a threat to their search engine business, which is, again, their cash cow. So what they're doing now with things like the AI overviews at the top, with things like now this new AI mode, which is rolled out in the UK, is they're trying to have their cake and eat it. They're trying to become the forerunner for generative AI. They're trying to bring AI into use for everyday people without us having to go and get a ChatGPT subscription. So what they're doing, I fully understand it. The question is whether or not they will be able to make up the same amount of cash as they get from search using generative AI. Right now, most of the generative AI companies are not making that kind of money. ChatGPT made 10 billion last year. I think they're still running. Are they in profit? OpenAI. I think they're in. So they're at 10 billion annual recurring revenue. But I don't think they're in profit yet, which is normal. A lot of tech companies will stay out of profit for as long as possible because then you're not paying taxes, but also it allows you to, you're continuously reinvesting with a larger payoff in the future. If anyone's seen Silicon Valley, the television series, there's this VC guy that they have. You should play the clip one day. It's really good. You should look it up. Look up a Silicon Valley no revenue clip and you'll find it. But basically this VC finds out that the main characters are making money. They're actually making cash. And the founders are obviously excited. Oh, wow, we made 50,000, we made $100,000. For them, that seems like a mark of success. And this VC says to them, absolutely not. Do not make any money. Like you must not make any profit because when you are making revenue, people can attach a number to your success. They can say, oh, they made 10 billion or they made 5 billion or they made $100,000. It allows them to attach a solid number to it, which can kill you if that number is too low. Whereas if you're not making any money yet, you are pre-revenue. And that allows people to imagine just how many billions you can make. So Silicon Valley, not just a show, but the place itself is a weird one when it comes to economics. Like Amazon, for example, ran at a loss for, I think nearly a decade. Let me have a look for how long. So yeah, they took 14 years to go into profit. So it's just a different way of running businesses where you use venture capital to prop yourself up while running at a loss. So you're not paying any taxes, but you are reinvesting everything into infrastructure so that you can come out of that being the leader, having decimated everybody else because they weren't able to spend to keep up with you. OpenAI and Anthropic, to a certain extent, are in that situation right now where they are spending, trying to become market leaders. Google are in a different place because they are a company that have been around for decades already, and they have deep pockets of cash, huge amounts of cash, which come through Google search. The question now is, do you sacrifice that cash cow in order to become the leader in generative AI? Do you kill off the part of your business, which is 75% of your revenue, to pivot to something that is as of yet unknown? It's a big question. Like if you abstract it from Google, if you abstract it from the technology, any business going through that decision of, hey, we have a cash cow, which is 75% of our revenue. Do we protect this or do we kill it and pivot? That's a huge question. And it's a huge pivot. So it'd be interesting to see how Google manages to balance this. I am not convinced they have an overarching strategy. Unfortunately, I think YouTube is very emblematic here. So YouTube belongs to Google. It's, by all accounts, it's the second largest search engine in the English language. We don't think of it as a search engine, but that basically is what it is. So right now, on the 15th of July, they said, we're demonetizing AI content. You will no longer be able to monetize a channel that is producing huge amounts of AI content. Okay, fine. So that's them saying, no, we don't want Gen AI. And then at the end of last week, they introduced the ability to use VO3, which is their AI video generator. You can use it directly in YouTube now to create YouTube shorts. So I think there are so many divisions at Google going against each other, doing different things. I do not think there is an overarching strategy about what on earth they're doing with AI. So are they trying to fight it to remain the head of search, or are they killing off search and embracing AI? Is it somewhere in between? I think it's such a large beast now with so many heads that they are infighting, not on purpose, but it's going to be really hard to turn that ship around. So I am bullish on Google, as you guys probably know if you've been watching me. Second to none says, perhaps they'll start making people pay to appear in AI search results. 100%, that's what they're going to be doing. Have already been experiments with Google, with shopping results appearing in AI. 100%. That's what they have to do. They are in the business of advertising. So we think of Google as a tech company. They're not. They're an advertising company. Their revenues come from getting attention and then showing adverts to the people whose attention they have. Their business is about eyeballs and it's about exposure. It is not a tech company. It is an advertising company. That's where all their money comes from. So we look at things like our Google Pixel phones and Gmail, and we think of that as Google's product. No, their product is us. It's us going to Google, which we do not pay for. We go to Google in our droves. Millions of us go onto Google and search for things, and Google sell to their actual customers, the advertisers, the advertising slots at the top. Same on YouTube, but it's just adverts are inserted into the video. The customers are the advertisers, the users are the product. So always remember this in tech. Whenever we get to use something for free, we're not the customer. We are the product. So things like the free version of ChatGPT, the reason it is free is because they're using that to train their models, to make their models better and better. When you pay for ChatGPT, you get increased data privacy. So if you are not paying for something, you are the product. You are not the customer. So exactly. So Google will 100%, 1000% start to put advertisements into their results. There is no way they're not going to do that because that is their business model. And that's probably how they're going to try and bridge the gap between search and advertising model and generative AI. Laura Seller says, thank you for the useful information. Learned so much from you. Have to head out to walk the dog. Have a good time, Laura. By the way, this sounds egotistical. For people who like to listen to my voice, which apparently is a lot of you, which I find bizarre, but thank you. We have released a podcast version of this. So obviously you can't see the screen, you can't see me, but I'm still delivering the same information. So there's a podcast now on iTunes and Spotify and various places. I personally despise the sound of my own voice, but yeah, apparently people don't mind it, so I won't complain. Have a good time on your dog walk. User 950068, I'm not going to read all of that, says Google's business is diverse, their cloud is growing, and they have Waymo. Yes, they have too many business divisions. The money still comes from search. That is where the cash comes from. They have lots of different kind of bets. So things like a Gmail, for example, was created because they give their staff members one day off, basically. They have one day where they need to work on their own project. I've forgotten the name of it. It's got a name, the 20% rule or something, where they work on their own project. So Gmail, for example, was a private project that somebody created during that time. And then boom, they're one of the largest email providers on earth. They don't charge for that because, again, they serve up adverts in your inbox. They will also very likely be training their models on our emails. Again, if you are using something for free, that is not the product. The product is the advertising sales that they run. So yes, they have a huge amount of other business divisions. They don't make money generally. It is all coming from search and Google advertising revenue. It's worth having a look at the actual breakdown, because what we see as consumers are the physical things like the telephones, like Gmail, Google Hangouts, which I think is being discontinued. We see those parts of the business. They are not the products that are actually making money. That's in the back end. It's things like AdWords, which most people don't use unless you own a business. So while they do have a huge diversification, that's not where the money comes from. 100% I agree. It's just when you look at the actual figures and the breakdown of the revenue, they have a huge ship that they need to turn around away from search into these other areas. That's why they're always experimenting. That's why they're always trying out new things like Waymo, for example. But it is just a huge shift that they're going to have to make.